Today I am joined by Robin Ram from Aspire, who is a real estate training specialist and focuses on CPDs, real estate training, qualifications, registrations and traineeships for our industry. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So today I want to talk about a couple of things, CPDs for 2021, what we can expect, and also sort of qualifications and traineeships. So I am one of those very annoying people who does love lots of training, but obviously I'm the minority when it comes to it, I think. And the property manager just does their registration. A lot of property managers are happy just doing their property management license and then sitting there. But there's extra qualifications that people can do in-house that they can further their knowledge. So and now correct me if I'm wrong with it, but I was sort of doing some research. So you've got your Cert 4 in Property Services and Diploma of Property Services.
That's right.
And then you've got your Cert 4 in Real Estate Practice and your Diploma of Property Agency Management.
So it's quite unusual. Right now, there are two streams which overlap each other. So there's the 2007 base qualification, which is the Cert 4 of Property Services, and then the Diploma of Property Services. So what's changing from September next year onwards, the 2007 model will no longer be able to be trained by any RTOs. So that becomes obsolete and the new model comes in. So what that means for the industry is they're finally recognizing that a lot has changed since 2007. So 6 units to become a property manager really isn't acceptable. It is pretty minimal amount of training. However, that is what the industry dictate as acceptable. And as we know, we learn most of it on the job when we're in the industry. So it's kind of like learning to drive a car. You get your license, but experience is what will teach you the day-to-day. So when you're doing a course right now, you can complete your PM registration in six units. Next year from September, it'll be 12 units.
Wow.
So it's going to double. Same thing for sales representatives. The unrestricted course right now is 7 units. And of that, how many units do you reckon are property management based?
I have no idea.
One.
So
you can do your sales course and complete 1 unit of property management, and you get the ability to be a property manager when you finish that. So that's also changing, and that's moving to a sales-based only registration from September next year for 13 units. If you would like the ability to do both, which is the current 7 units, that'll be 18 units. Some will have to complete the full Cert 4 of property practice.
Wow, how good's that?
Yes, so any PMs that actually want to unrestrict a registration, you've got a window of 6 to 8 months really to get in there and get it done now if you want to unrestrict it, because if you want an unrestricted registration in October next year onwards, you're going to have to do more studies.
So if you are operating in property management under that's the sales rep one, would you have to do it again or would you be okay?
You'll be okay. You have an unrestricted registration, which you maintain after this.
Yeah. Okay, so September it's all changing.
September, and the same for the diploma. The Diploma of Property Services, the 2007 one, is 26 units. That's moving down from 26 units of can you do property management, can you do sales, to 13 business units. Can you run a team? Can you run an agency? Can you manage compliance? So the standard to become a licensee in the future is going to be much higher. So you'll have to do, moving forward, anyone who wants their triennial will need to do their diploma, the new one, from September next year onwards, as well as components of or gap units in the Cert 4 of property practice.
Wow.
So the education standard is lifting for the betterment of the industry. The downside for that is people like yourself, for example, if you've been in the industry for a while, and if you want to upskill, it's going to be harder for you to do it. So it's easier for you to get the qualifications under your belt earlier than it is next year, because then your 20 years in the industry, 30, 40 years aren't really taken into consideration.
No.
Nothing aligns or really overlaps to a degree where you really benefit.
Do you think we're going to see less people wanting to actually do their diploma because it's going to be too hard? I
actually think what I've personally seen in the industry in the last 3 years, and I've been in real estate for 19 years and 3 in the training field, I've actually seen a better also maybe better quality of person coming through that really wants real estate for the long term. And for a long-term career paths, I've got a lot of students now doing education because they want to get better, not because they want to run their own agency, not because they want to be a traineehill holder, but they actually want to know everything about real estate and they want to be the best person they can be. And I've seen more and more of that come through lately, which is really positive for our industry. It's not just the bare minimum, I get my course, I'm done, and don't bother me with training anymore. It's like, what can I do to further myself as a property manager?
Well, that's one of the big problems is I find, like just with even CPD points, is people just go, they don't listen, they go just for the sake of getting their points, and instead of actually using the opportunity to learn something.
Yeah, the stigma of CPD points is it's a checkbox to get done.
Absolutely.
Whereas mandatory next year for property management, it'll be what is a material fact? When should it be communicated? When my training that I run at the moment, there's lots of misunderstandings of when you stop or when you just disclose, what the emphasis is on that. What are the rights and responsibilities of property management and to your owner? So what do you do in different situations? So we've got some great case studies involved in that. And also now with everything going online is retention and security of documentation virtually. So DEMAs want to make sure everyone's aware of what the implications are, that we're now remote, we're on our phones, we've got our tablets, we've got our phones, we've got our home computers. However, Privacy Act still retains, confidentiality is still there. How are we managing that in a virtual environment?
So is that an elective?
Those are the mandatory for next year
for the
property managers.
Yeah, I was just going to say to you, they should be a mandatory thing as opposed to. So we're going to find some nice, interesting.
I believe so. Yes, and then on the elective side of it, we get the benefit of doing 7 elective courses to your own choice, and there's some great topics that are out there. And with the providers in WA, you can mix and match, and you can make sure that what you want is really taken care of. So you look at it to go, well, where do I want to better myself this year? As a property manager, we run a negotiation course, and a lot of PMs think that's a sales-based course. Whereas in my opinion, property managers negotiate on a daily basis. Salespeople will negotiate a few times a week. So property managers are more should be going to this course more than most salespeople do. Courses like that teach you how to negotiate via email, which you do every day on your final bond inspections, which you do for your tenants for arranging access. When there's a drama and there's a conflict, how to best handle that situation via email, which sometimes our clients want, so we actually don't jeopardize the relationship. And there are certain little rules and tips and tricks you can put into place that once you follow them, it makes your life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. The CPDs, someone told me the correct answer, and it was probably you, and I can't remember what it was, but can you just remind us all, with your mandatory CPDs, if I'm a property manager, do I have to do property management, or if I'm a licensed agent, I have to do licensed agent, or can you mix and match?
So this year, in 2020, when we're just recording this one now, it's been pretty much a licensee's course for everyone to do. So the whole industry's been exposed to the responsibilities of a licensee, which has been really fascinating because we've gone through money laundering, we've gone through making sure bonds are lodged in time, trust account basics, the changes to strata title. So it's been a really positive one having everyone in that. Next year it's gone from 1 unit for the industry to 4. So there's a sales course, there's a PM course, and there are 2 commercial streams. So what that means for a property manager is if you're a property manager, you want to be attending that. If you got your sales registration, but you're practicing as a property manager, you can then pick which is most applicable to you. Okay. And again, you go to the property management one. And anyone who's a licensee will choose what is the best for me to go to out of those 2 streams. And sales or PM, you've got the option for both.
Okay, yeah, so there's some flexibility there.
Yep.
Tell me just on those diplomas again, and the Cert 4s, is that something like let's say you're a working property manager and you just want to do a little bit of extra education, can they be done in-house, or are they done online, or are they done in person? What do people do?
Differing models from different RTOs. Us at Aspire, what we do is pretty much remote-based learning, like it's self-paced. Mm-hmm. So that way you can speed up and slow down as work dictates. The 2007 diploma for a working property manager who wants their triennial, if you want to do it through recognition of prior learning, that would be a model that you'd want to do in the next 6 to 8 months. Almost nobody as a property manager will be able to do recognition prior learning stream for the new diploma, because you don't have track records of managing staff. You don't have track records that you can demonstrate of how you're managing finance, how you're managing compliance, because that's quite often outside of your role. So unless you're in a management position, it's almost going to be virtually impossible to RPL the new diploma coming through.
Okay.
So I would highly recommend anyone who's thinking that just to reach out and have a chat about that and how it looks like. So rather than learning how to do certain aspects of the role, you're demonstrating to the RTO or to us that you can appraise properties, that you can manage lease renewals, that you can manage your bond inspections, that you can manage maintenance, your database, your client relationships, and so forth.
So you're looking at about a bit of a 6 to 8 month course, do you reckon?
We recommend 6 months.
So now would be the time to be
if you want RPL, for sure, yeah. But if you want better knowledge and you say, look, well, that's fine, but I actually want to know how to be a better licensee, the new course is the better way to go.
And so we talk about September. do you have to finish your course by September, or do you have to have enrolled and started it?
So the 2007 one, you have to be in that and you have to complete it. After September,
okay.
It'll come off the scope from RTOs to be able to train.
Got it. Okay.
So that's where, and my understanding from DEMAs is last time we heard from them, that once you've got your Diploma of Property Services, the 2007 one, they'll still take that into consideration for the licensing component. Even if it's off the scope and no one can train it, you can sit on that one for a year and then apply for your traineal.
Yeah.
Having said that, you may as well get it done if you've got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Traineeships in the office. Tell us a little bit about those options that agencies have got.
Yeah, it's been very exciting as a pathway because that's how I started my career. As someone who was 18, a real estate office gave me an opportunity to do assistant property management, assistant sales. I got to learn everything in the job. I got to do all the hard work and it was so much fun. It gave me such a good grounding in real estate and I draw upon that my whole career, what I've learned early on. And the traineeship model allows anytime you as a business hire someone new, so it doesn't matter what age, but if they're new to your business within 3 months, and you put them on a traineeship model, the state government will pay you just over $2,000 during the course of that year. Okay. If they're upskilling, the federal government, and this is how it stands now, the federal government will pay you $4,000 over the course of that traineeship. So you've got $6,000 worth of incentives. The actual study-wise, it's about $4,500 worth of qualifications, which the government also subsidize. Mm-hmm. So the cost to us is about $1,600, and the government pays the rest. Mm-hmm. So in effect, the government incentives pay for the course. You've got applicable traineeship wages if you would like to put the person on the traineeship salary, which is a little bit lower than the normal salary, making it more cost effective to hire. Mm-hmm. And quite recently, the government has announced 100,000 spots available where they'll pay 50% of the trainee's salary up until September next year.
That's what I heard the other day, someone saying, so this is really great if you are a small-time property manager, maybe you manage 100, 150 properties and you're in that awkward stage of, do I need another person or not? And you're not sure how you want to grow. Going down that road of the traineeships is excellent.
Now's one of the best times there's been that I can ever remember to hire someone. So till September next year, if, for example, maxed at $7,000 a quarter, so the aim is $28,000 total from October when it was released till September next year for someone to be able to benefit. So whatever half their salary is maxed at $7,000 per quarter is what you can claim back after that quarter from the government. Plus the incentives, plus the traineeship salary, it now makes hiring really cost effective. So now with our mini boom that we've got in Perth at the moment, in WA actually, it's given certainty to the industry. So we've seen traineeship enrollment skyrocket, which have been amazing to see. And
also an excellent alternative to using a virtual assistant. Like, someone might have been considering getting a virtual assistant. Well, getting a trainee might actually be a really great, very cost comparative option.
If you remember some of the things when you're new in the industry, I was doing all the things that people traditionally might not have wanted to do themselves. So there was an appointment, it was a last minute viewing on a rental property that you wanted to get gone, but you're doing 3 other tasks at the moment. You can send your assistant out there to go.
And your VA can't do that.
Can't do that. No, exactly. You need to meet a contractor at a site to let them in. No problems at all. Your assistant can do that for you. And they benefit too by meeting the contractors and developing the skills, recognizing the property. So again, that's all the stuff that I did early on.
Yeah, love that. That's really, really great. And upskilling. So upskilling would be like if you had a receptionist and they have an interest in property management, then we can upskill them.
Yes. And there's pretty much individual upskilling we can do based on the needs of the person. And there's also availability where you can if you'd like to, outsource training for a year. Where you can go to someone like us and say, well, look, we want training on time management for our team. We want training on email management, and email etiquette is a big one. We have training on negotiation, training on contracts, pretty much whatever people require for their team. You can outsource that and go, well, look, can we get someone in there to do it? Quite often the boss of an agency will already be telling these people these things. However, when it comes from a different voice, from someone outside the office, it's looked at in a different light. So we can really mix and match to suit our clients, which is it's quite a positive way to take the pressure off the business owner, who's also probably out there listing and selling and doing the managements and doing whatever you have to do to keep the whole agency running.
And trying to make sure everyone's working compliant.
Exactly.
Well, you actually just answered my last question, Robin, which was what training do you think is lacking in offices these days?
Well, this is something I heard. I forgot where I heard it, but apologies to the source. It was just how real estate's changed so much. So in 19 years when I started real estate, a real estate office was a very noisy environment. Nowadays, a real estate office is fairly quiet and there's lots of keyboards being, tap, 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 which is excellent. But the problem with communication via email, and I'm a big fan, but it should follow the phone calls, or it should follow the face-to-face. A message changes in its delivery by how it's said. And when you use a medium like SMS and email, how the party receive your lovely email is dictated on their mood, not your mood. So you could be writing the best email in the world about a problem, and they're having a really bad day, and they get your email at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 9 a.m., and they're having a bad day. They're going to read that not in the manner you wanted it to be, and that can often cause conflicts and problems in the industry. So I feel that the training the industry need is sometimes a reminder that emails are crucial. You've got to back up your conversations. You've got to have an audit trail. You've got to, anyone who's done training with us has heard the saying that I've heard from a licensee in Rockingham, which is be a snail, leave a trail. Have a paper trail for everything that you do. So when there is an issue, you go, yep, no, confirmed via email. Here you go. Here's this, this, and this. Oh, yep, no problems. Thank you very much. But that's not to replace the fact that we can resolve a conflict in a final bond list, for example, with a face-to-face conversation better than we can by here is 10 items that need to be fixed by Wednesday. Thank you. Kind regards, Robin.
Yeah.
Well, that can cause conflict in an email like that.
Yeah.
There's no tone except for the tone of their mood when they get it.
And it's so interesting you said that, because quite often if I have a staff member that, says to me, oh, I got an email from blah, blah, and they read it, but the property manager reads it to me with attitude, with how they're interpreting it. And then I say, okay, now read it with a nice voice and see how it's different. And they go, but that's not how she was saying it. I said, well, it's how you're reading it.
Yeah, we're putting our thoughts into someone else's mind. And is that fair on the other party?
Exactly. So I think that's really, really important. And it's interesting. And it's nearly a shame, isn't it, that our training has nearly come down, and what we are learning is simple communication etiquette. It's not really transactional stuff that we need training on. It's actually this how to deal with people.
Yeah,
nicely.
Our complaints, how we handle complaints is a big area of training. One of the people on the feedback sheets we get from our training, something that resonates with a lot of property managers, is the email section on how to negotiate better via email. And if you're happy, I can give you a quick rundown from that course. It's the standard rules, which we use our trainer we link to is an American-based FBI trainer. So we resource, one of the world's best people on negotiations. And the way to send the perfect email for a negotiation or when there's a problem is you set it up where, look, unfortunately something's happened. Then you land what the message is. Then you end positively. So you don't write a 3-page email, for example, where people roll their eyes as soon as they get it. You make it nice and brief. And the analogy I like to explain is, I'm not sure if you've heard of Simon Sinek. He's quite well known. He tells the story of an email that he got from someone he hadn't seen for 20 years. And that email was, hi, Simon. Great stuff you're doing in the real estate industry. Sorry, not the real estate industry, in the industry. You're making great success. It's really good to see everything that you're doing for everyone. Hey, by the way, I've entered an arts competition. It'd mean a lot if you vote for me. Can you please vote here? Thanks, John. Now, that email seems to be how we all send emails, along that sort of line. But then you change that email to hey, Simon, I've entered an arts competition. It'd mean a lot to me if you'd vote for me. By the way, congratulations on all the success you're having in the industry. It's wonderful to see. You should be very proud of yourself. So the same email where you put the negative news first, not last, changes the dynamic of that email. And all of a sudden, you're now not being manipulative. You're now talking to people straight, but you're also ending it on a positive manner. And when we communicate, how we end a conversation, whether it's on the phone, face-to-face, or via email, is how they remember it. So the last impression is the lasting impression. And if your last impression that a property manager has is, and it's going to cost you $4,000, I look forward to hearing back from you when you're ready, that's not a great memory to pick up the phone next time you speak with them. However, you run that, unfortunately, this has happened, this, and this, letting you know we've undertaken this, and this to give you all the guarantees. I'm very confident we can work this out, and I look forward to speaking with you shortly. Straight away, that is the manner they remember it when they now see your name show up on their phone or when they get the next email from you, so they're more effective in wanting to reach an outcome. And people are 31% more likely to reach an outcome when in a positive mindset. So our responsibilities on how we communicate has changed, because if we want to work in our client's best interest, which is our job, we have to then communicate it in a manner that is in their best interest and that gets us most favorable outcomes. So communication is crucial in that.
I love that, because I always start it nicely and then do the problem. And that has absolutely blown my mind that You're absolutely right. You should put, sorry, whatever, the hot water system's burst, it's going to cost $1,000.
I'm afraid I got some bad news. The hot water
Yep.
system's blown.
Yep.
We've got quotes from our 3 tradespeople we trust the most. This is how much it's going to cost. It's quite unfortunate. However, we've undertaken this, this, and this to ensure that you're very well looked after and that you're getting the best outcome and price. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yeah.
So again, finishing positively, and apologies for those who've heard me say this before, but this is something that even in my personal life, I was sending my mum a message and saying, "Hey mum, how's your day today?" And then she'd reply back very quickly, "Good, how can I help?" I'm like, "Oh crap." I should be, "Hey mum, can you look after my son for an hour on Saturday? Hey, by the way, how was your day?" So it's more legit. We're communicating to people in a respectful manner because we're not trying to sugarcoat everything. We're being upfront, honest, because people know what's coming. When you get all the niceties up front, you know something's going to come shortly. Exactly. It goes through your head. What do you want? Like, this is what I want. By the way, how can I help you? This is what I'm doing for you. I look forward to hearing from you. And straight away, if you can use his strategies to redo your emails and cut the niceties out of the front, put them at the back, cut the negative at the front, and then start the email with, "Unfortunately, I've got some bad news," or "I'm afraid I've got something you're not going to want to hear." It lets them, give them opportunity to, brace themselves for the bad news, and then finish positively so you're more receptive for the outcome. And again, that should be, every property manager should know that, every salesperson should know that. But again, unless you invest in your own training and development and pick the courses where that stuff's discussed, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And training should make your life easier and simpler. That's the whole aim of it. It shouldn't be there to make it worse.
That is so awesome. There you go. That's like a bit of free training for everyone that listens to it. That's very, very cool. I really, really love that. That's excellent.
And if anyone wants to research it themselves, that person is Chris Voss. So
how do you spell Voss?
Chris and then Voss, VOSS. He was the former lead negotiator of the FBI. For kidnappings and hostages. So if anyone can negotiate and has rules and tips and tricks that work, you want to follow someone like that. And he knows how people think and how that works, and it works. Yeah.
Love that. That's like absolutely blown my mind. Very cool. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me today. If anyone wants to get in touch with you, it is Robin from Aspire Performance Training, and there are such great options for officers and property managers to further their education and further the education of their team as well. So get in touch with Robin. I will tag him in to this podcast.